This video is brought to you by 3, bringing you 4G at no extra cost and some exclusive deals over at btech.com.
Hey guys, welcome to BTech. It is Basil here with the LG G3 and the Sony Xperia Z2. The LG G3 announced today in the UK and across the world is the first phone that we've seen with a quad HD display. That it means that you've got a stonking pixel density of around 536. Bringing them right up close together and jumping into the applications tray, you should be able to make out that it is significantly sharper than the already very sharp Sony Xperia Z2. The Xperia Z2 has a beautiful IPS display clocking in at 5.2 inches. Despite the fact the screen is smaller, the whole device is actually about as wide as the G3 and a little bit taller. The reason for that has got to be those front-facing stereo speakers on the Sony Xperia Z2, so it should produce better sound, but there's no denying that LG G3 produces a much better screen experience than any other smartphone, not just the Sony Xperia Z2. One thing that LG G3 isn't though is waterproof, and that brings us onto the design of both of these devices. The G3 has a camera at the front-facing camera with an f2 aperture and a gesture control for selfies. Just wave your hand over and it will snap a selfie. You can see below the screen no buttons whatsoever, but you do have an LG logo. On the Sony Xperia Z2, similar affair. On-screen buttons, front-facing camera, but you do also have those front-facing speakers above and below the pane of glass on the front. Both of these devices sporting Gorilla Glass 3 fronts. We'll start by putting the G3 down and talking around the design of the Sony Xperia Z2, and on the right you've got a flap for the micro SD card slot, power button and volume rocker. You've also got a two-stage shutter button for the camera, 20.7 megapixel camera. You've also at the base got the in-core microphone, a lanyard connector, and on the left-hand side a magnetic dock connector. You've got another flap which you can unflap. The reason this is all on the flaps, by the way, anyone who's paying attention earlier, this is waterproof. So that's for the micro USB port and for the micro SIM tray. Up at the top, 3.5mm headphone jack and a noise-cancelling microphone. There's a pair of headphones you can get for this which can cancel up to 98% of background noise. Flipping it round, NFC point, Sony insignia as well, which you may be able to make out. Lighting's not so great here, and that 20.7 megapixel camera with flash. It's digitally image stabilized. All in all, the Sony Xperia Z2 is classical, looks great, feels very solid in the hand, but it's very, very boxy, isn't quite as ergonomic as we might like, and that's the reason that it probably is about the same size as the G3. The G3 manages to feel a lot smaller by being so incredibly curvaceous. If we take a look around the actual design of the G3, we can see you've got that camera front-facing 2 megapixel, no buttons on the right or left. That's a huge reason why you've got such little bezeling on here. Up at the top is a 3.5mm, sorry, is an infrared blaster for TV. We've also got, depending on the region that you're in, a TV antenna, and we can look at the base where we've got a micro USB port and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Flipping it round is a volume control button up top and bottom, and in the middle a power button. 13 megapixel rear facing camera, optically image stabilized, and you've also got a dual tone flash, one warm, one cool, so you can get the perfect white balance. To the left of the camera is a laser autofocus, allowing you to autofocus at breakneck speed, 0.26 seconds we think it is, so or around that. Putting the two side by side once again, we can just take another look at the screens, and the Sony Xperia Z2 is significantly smaller and a lot more bezel-licious, especially up top and bottom. The user interfaces are Android 4.4.2 with Sony and LG's custom user interfaces loaded atop them. The Sony user interface has always been super slick, super clean, and this new Air theme introduced on the Z2 looks really, really elegant. If we swipe down the notifications tray, everything's gotten quite stock. We can see you've got these very big quick toggles and you've got notifications separated quite nicely. Open up the applications tray and you've got Sony's application management system. Just swiping into the left and we can see we can arrange applications in various ways, including own order, alphabetical, most used and installed. The LG G3 has also had its UI completely redrawn. It's much, much simpler than on the G2. Pinching out, you can see you've got a variable number of home screens right there. Tap through on them, we can long press to reveal the widget and applications menu as well, and we can also access our wallpapers through here too. Jumping out, pull down, we can see our notifications tray, where we can swipe notifications out of the way, control our brightness and our in-core volume. tap Q slide, for example, and it will pull Q slide options, Q remote, and you'll get Q remote on there, which is the remote control for the infrared blaster up at the top. If we talk a little bit about the cameras, we can see you've got 20.7 megapixel camera as opposed to a 13 megapixel camera. Where the Sony Xperia Z2 really will win out is in terms of shooting modes. It's so varied on this thing. It's obviously got 4K video, as does the LG G3, but we can take a picture and we can see this picture was taken in Superior Auto. Now if you saw, the actual focus creeped, it went forward, it went back, and then snapped the picture. The laser autofocus on this thing actually will avoid creeping in any way, shape whatsoever. So we can take a picture by simply just pointing and shooting. Tapping is done with a much quicker focusing system, or at least that's what LG claims. We're going to have to get these in for review before we can give you anything conclusive. As far as the user interfaces of the cameras go though, we can put them side by side to show you. You've got initially a very simple interface on the Sony. You've got shoot, record, but you've also got something that complicates it but gives you a lot of options. Manual, 4K video, time shift video, background defocus, loads and loads of shooting modes, and you can also download more. If we take a look at the LG G3, however, it's all much simpler. You've got cog that allows you to add grid lines, self-timer on or off, voice activation. You can control the resolution of both camera and camcorder, and you can also activate HDR on, off, or auto. We can select mode as well, and there are only a few modes on here. Dual panorama, magic focus, which is a selective focus as you have on the Xperia Z2, and auto. And of course you've got front-facing camera toggle and flash. So generally speaking, a very simple user experience in contrast to what we see on the LG G2, and we much prefer it on first impression. Generally, therefore, the LG G3 is a stonking handset. Internals are going to be very similar between these two. The G3 and the Sony Xperia Z2 have Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 processors inside. The LG G3 is available with either 3 GB of RAM or 2 GB of RAM, whereas the Sony Xperia Z2 has 3 GB of RAM. The LG G3 has a 16 GB or 32 GB variant, whereas the Sony Xperia Z2 has a 16 GB variant only. Both are microSD expandable. There's a removable back cover on here and a flap right there. Other connections include obviously 4G, 3G, 2G, Wi-Fi, GPS, etc. The LG G3 does support wireless charging though, and have that infrared blaster up at the top, whereas the Sony Xperia Z2 has what everybody has a PlayStation 3 wants: DualShock controller connectivity. But that's pretty much the only area that it trumps the G3 as far as connections go, unless you've kitted out with Sony devices across your home. All in all, therefore, two very comparable devices. The waterproof option is going to be the Xperia Z2. It's also a beautiful, more classically styled device, whereas the G3 has a mind-blowing display and obviously that removable battery for anyone who needs it. Hopefully you've enjoyed our comparison. If you've got any questions about either of these phones, ping them in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure that you click like. If you like the channel, click subscribe. Head over to BTech. Over there you can find the latest in smartphones, tablets, smart gadgets, not to mention some awesome deals as well. Thanks for watching.
At the top of the screen is where you can find 3 hand-picked videos for your viewing pleasure. On the left is where you can subscribe, and on the right hand side you can find some exclusive deals if you head over to btech.com.